Aloha and welcome to Thursday live lessons here on ukuleleunderground.com. My name is Aldrine Guerrero. We are live with Mr. Aaron the Voice Nakamura. Say what's up, Aaron.
What's up?
And Mr. Kahai the Legend Fergan. Say what's up, Kahai.
What's up?
We started today at 1:01. People are going to be like, oh, are these guys on Hawaiian time again? These Hawaiians in their Hawaiian time?
It was, I swear it was YouTube. Like, we're just waiting for YouTube.
I don't even care. Whose fault it was. Someone's going to call us out on it.
We're going to blame somebody. Yeah. Email youtube@gmail.com. I don't know if that works.
No, regardless of what we do, someone's going to call us out on it. Like, oh. Yeah, anyway, it's Thursday live lesson, and what we do here is we just have some fun. We discuss music and we discuss ukulele. So if you guys have any questions or anything at all, please send it over to us or email us. Put some questions down in our forum or anything on Ukulele Underground, and we'll be able to see it. And we'll answer it right here on Thursday live lesson. So we're going to be featuring some of the most popular questions that we get. We do, we do a little bit of discussion, and we talk about whatever that question is, or we come up with the best answer. We put three heads together to come up with the best answer. Sometimes we come up with three different answers. Sometimes we come up with a collaborative answer, but that's what makes this great. It is basically a brainstorming session with you folks. And since this is live, you can watch this live over at UU Plus. All these people are watching right now, so they're looking at me doing my shaka. My shaka is getting looser. We're talking about the loose shaka today. So for those of you folks who don't have UU Plus, you won't be able to see my loose shaka. This is new, not new, but this has been popular lately in Hawaii. Is what we've been doing. This is the loose shaka. This is the shaka, and it went this way for some reason, and it became this loose. Have you seen that around, Kai?
Yeah, but I'm not.
It's really local kind
of. Yeah, very
thing.
local shaka. Yeah. So the person who does this, they're like, oh yeah, that person has shaka so many times.
yeah.
I'm not even somebody who would do a shaka anyways.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I guess so.
So I don't. Yeah. I do the Japanese peace signs ironically, right? But I don't do any no. I don't do any gang signs. Right?
So we are live, and you can watch us over on UU Plus as part of your Ukulele Underground Plus subscription. If you guys don't know what I'm talking about, go to ukuleleunderground.com and take your ukulele playing to the next level by signing up for UU Plus. If you are listening to this via podcast, thank you so much for downloading us over on iTunes or wherever you get your favorite podcasts. It's still fun, but make sure you check out UU Plus if you're really interested in learning this instrument. So since everyone knows, what's going on, everyone knows the rules, hit me up with a question, Kai, and let's get this thing started.
Okay, so this is from Jim from it was actually from a couple weeks ago.
Okay. Jim, Australian Jim?
Yeah.
Okay.
So he said, okay, so when developing a chord melody song, what thought process do you use to decide the balance between strumming chords and the melody, especially if it's something with a lot of melody? Also, do you try for chords at the beginning of each bar or in breaks? I get that there is no one answer. Just interested in the decision process. I see.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. And it also depends on your playing style too. Because you got guys like Benny Chong and Dr. Byron Yasui, all those guys will take a melody and they'll do a chord for each one of those notes. And you got guys like me who will be like, okay, well, here's the melody. I can play as little chords as possible and play more of the notes, So it just depends on your playing style. For me, I think, I have pretty much a checklist where okay, am I playing the melody? Check. Is that melody, is that melody in front? If you've watched the chord melodies workshop that we did here on Ukulele Underground, or seminar that we did here on Ukulele Underground, you kind of know what I mean. Is the is the star of the show, is the highlight or spotlight on the melody itself, or is it on something else? I want to make sure that the melody's in front and all the backup singers and all backup actors or whatever it is in the background. If I got that, then it's check. Does it need all those, background singers or background voices or whatever, or is it okay? Does it stand alone by itself? And then those are the kind of decisions that I have to make when arranging a chord melody song. So for example, let's take a look at the Yellowbird. Okay, so just just those few bars. As you've noticed, I'm not doing a chord to every single note, and I am, I'm just highlighting the melody line. But for the melody line goes. So first check, do I have the melody line in there, and is it in front? So. It's definitely in front. It's definitely featured. That spotlight is on that melody line. And as far as putting the chords in there, I like the chords moving along. If you have something like where it's a half step down, of course I'm gonna follow that up with the voices, because getting that kind of feel where where the rest of the voices move along with your melody line gives it a nice sense of movement. Okay, so you want movement in the background, so it goes by itself. And when the chord change, I'm right there with it, because the chord changes to a B flat. I'm right there with the B flat, and still making sure to highlight that B flat note in there. So that is an artistic choice. You can just do. Whereas you don't strum it until it changes again. But for me, just to kind of remind the audience that there is, I am doing a chord melody, and I'm not just doing melody by itself. I want to do it, in after 2 beats. So to just kind of remind the audience. So it just depends on your personal taste, I guess, because both works, and I wouldn't say any one would be wrong, and you can even do the whole thing. And it still wouldn't be wrong, you know what I mean? So musical taste has a lot to do with it, musical style has a lot to do with it, and these are just kind of decisions that you have to make. And I know that you know that, and you were just kind of wondering, about the decision making part, and that's the kind of decision making that goes into it. As far as when I do the arrangements, I have to kind of think, well, is it too much? That's another thing that I kind of think about. If I do, it seems like it's too much if I'm just kind of strumming the whole thing. But you got guys like I mentioned, Benny Chong and Byron Yusui and Abe Lagrimas, like all these guys will play a chord with every note, and they'll do it tastefully, What
is Benny's what is it? Twinkle Twinkle Little Star, right?
Yeah.
For that one, he plays a different chord
for every note. Yeah. So they'll know how to how to add the right amount of flavor for their own style, kind of thing. So because I was talking about taste, so the pinch of, I don't know what it is that they're putting in their mortar makes it taste really good, but they do it really well.
I think they lean more towards the jazz reharmonization, right?
Yeah.
Where they take a song and then they say oh, this is the bass notes, or this is the melody notes. Yeah. And I can add other notes to make different chords. Yeah. Each note sound different for me. And
and they're really good at stuff like counter melodies and maybe bass lines, and they think about all the things that are that are in there and move along with them. So that's a really high level of chord melody, which sometimes I'll incorporate, but for the most part I like to kind of keep things a little bit more simple. I'm a simple guy. Not saying that simple is better. It's just the matter of taste. It's your musical taste. If that's your thing, then you do that. And yeah, not saying anyone's wrong.
So usually it would just be you play the melody, and as at the times where the chord switches, you play the chord.
Yeah, play the chord.
And then in between that, you could just add it in whenever you kind of feel like it.
Mm-hmm. Whenever you want to reintroduce that chord to the audience,
or just remind them we're still on that B flat or whatever. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I think if you're just starting out with kind of trying to arrange your own chord melodies, that's a good starting place or whatever, just to use the melody, play the melody, and make sure that that's in the forefront. Right. And then anytime that the chord changes, that would be going on in the background. If the chord changes, then you make sure you play that at that time.
That is like something that's kind of like that, and I think Jim used like a really good word with balance rate.
Yeah.
Because it kind of is like something where if you use chords like a lot, it gets harder to distinguish what the melody actually is. Because you're not hearing singular notes.
Yeah.
So that's where like sometimes like jazz reharmonization is like probably a good example of it, and that's where like sometimes jazz musicians do it, and they do it with like every single note, and that's where people are like, why don't they just play the right chord? And it's like they are playing the right chord, but they're playing a different chord for each note. So it is hard to kind of hear like where exactly the song is going.
Yeah.
And then it also kind of depends on your playing too. So you can kind of pull out the melody by emphasizing the melody notes in your chord, right? So that's kind of important too.
If it's in the front,
Yeah, and it's usually on the higher strings or like the higher
That's
sounding.
That's when it's tricky if it's like on the low and then you're playing chords that that go higher than the melody line.
Yeah, can you play that Twinkle Twinkle or do you remember it?
So like it's a different chord for every single
so that
one.
might not come across as dramatically in the audio because it's so well kind of constructed.
It's crazy. So let's
but
take
if
a
you
look at that.
if you are watching the video version, you'll see that Aldrine is playing a different chord for every note.
Yeah, that C inversion, and then it goes to a major 7. Because that you want that B in there. So that's like really genius use of like the of the re-entrant string.
Yeah. Where it doesn't it changes it but it doesn't take away from
because
the
your melody line is on the bottom string.
Yeah.
So just take a look at that. Like, so he has
that's
movement.
Nice. That's really nice.
Yeah, he has movement in there. And then he'll he'll do this minor 7, which is an E minor 7. And then like keeping that. So he'll go from that into a diminished, and then to another minor 7, and then to another diminished.
Oh, nice.
Back to the minor 7. So he's kind of using these, like these moving notes and chords. It's beautiful. Yeah, that's why like some people really know how to do it, and it's insane.
And that wasn't even like that was Benny Chong arranged that, and that wasn't even like a serious arrangement for him. That was kind of like, I'm just gonna
intro.
I'm gonna play I'm gonna play around with this and see what comes out, and that was just what his brain came up with. Just as an exercise of like, you could use this as a warm up or like.
I learned so much from touring with that guy.
Yeah,
you actually took his workshop. Or
well,
you were
I sat in, and I couldn't do any of the things that he was doing, but I could. I could ask like competent kind of questions, I think he liked the fact that I could ask good questions.
Yeah, he's on a different level. I wanted to also bring up that like the reason why I don't really like using the term chord melodies, and here on Ukulele Underground we refer to the to ukulele solos instead, because that's
so UU plus solos.
Yeah, UU plus solos. It's
series that we do.
Playing the ukulele and playing both melody and chords at the same time. But the thing is, you're not just playing chords and melodies. You can also do other things. You can do arpeggios, for example, which are not chords. You're spelling out each note of the chord. So you can do something like. And it'll be the same thing where like you have the melody line. The melody line comes out, and you have a background. And I'm going back again to the seminar that we did, the chord melody seminar. You have the main person spotlighted, and you have all these like whatever's like side actor. What did I call it? Like supporting roles. So you have all those things, and it can be a chord, or it can just be like notes or arpeggios from there, or you can even have moving moving counter melodies, kind of like how when Benny did the the minor the major 7 chord in there to the minor 7 up here. He has like kind of a counter melody going down. Like he has those notes kind of moving at the same time as your melody line is moving, and it's not necessarily a harmony, because harmonies would move together with the note. It's something completely different, and two melodies going on at the same time, but there's clearly one main melody, that's happening in there. So don't like limit yourself to thinking about like chord melodies. And Jim being a keyboard player, I think he knows that. I think he knows about counter melodies and when to put the chords and stuff. You saying?
I think the thing that we saw that people were using was like chord melodies as like the genre.
Yeah.
And not just like a technique that you use. And so that's where it's like people were kind of getting confused where they're calling solos chord melodies. Yeah. So
it's true.
Like, and that's kind of what we did in deconstructing chord melodies, is differentiating the difference between chord melodies and then solos, right?
Yeah. So I think doing a ukulele solo approach to it will be better than doing a chord melody approach to it. Well, maybe I shouldn't say better, because I don't know. Benny Chan will make a chord melody one. You're like, is this not better than that? I'm like, oh, I guess it is. we got a guy over here.
it's like chord melodies can be solos, but solos can't be only chord melodies, right? Is like, I think that's kind of like where like chord melodies could, if you use a chord melody song, it could be considered like a solo song.
Yeah.
But it's not like
not all solos.
Not all. Yeah.
So if you kind of just say like, I'm gonna make a chord melody song, it's like you're limiting yourself to
just the chord and the melody. Yeah.
It's just the
I mean, and the great a bunch of great musical pieces for the ukulele are ukulele solos, and they're not necessarily like chord melodies. Stuff like Bohemian Rhapsody, for example, he's got those notes in there, he's got the melody lines, he's doing chord melodies, and he is also doing like finger picking and all these other crazy things that he's doing in there, and it's a solo, it's just a ukulele like composing this, not composing, but playing this entire symphony of of sounds into like 4 strings, which is what's amazing about it. And then you got people like Herb Otta, who also does like chord melodies, but even he sometimes does like some finger picking here and there, or like some fancy thing that he does with this some goal pick. It's pretty cool. I don't know how he does that, to learn more.
for like Jake and Herb Otta and other solo artists, like it's more that they think of what's like the best way to arrange a song, right? More so than thinking about like, oh, I need to specifically do it in this one style, or
but like
this one technique.
Like Aaron was saying, if you do want to start getting into doing ukulele solos, I think chord melodies are like a great way to get started. Yeah, get started.
And we kind of in the solo secrets class even, right? Like we talk about how solo can be as easy as like using inversions, chord inversions with finger picking, and then it'll sound like a solo. So it's like the same thing too. It's using chords. You're using the same chords, but just kind of in different positions or in different ways.
Yeah, I agree. Okay, so hope that answers your question, Jim. Next question.
So this was in the forum, and this is from our man in Japan.
Okay, our man, or Armin?
No, it's our man.
Our man.
O-U-R.
Oh, our man in Japan.
I'm pretty sure if it's you pronounce it Armin.
Armin in Japan.
He spelled it O-U-R. I'm guessing.
Yeah.
So he said, for that Tremolo thing that will impress all my friends, is a long thumbnail essential? And if so, how long is long?
Okay. To answer your question, no. You don't have to grow out your thumbnail. You can always use a thumb pick and you'll get that same thing. Here's a thumb pick right here. So place it on your thumb like this. Here's the right here. Let's go to the close-up view. So here's the thumb pick. I'll show you folks what that looks like for those of you folks who've never seen one before. It looks like this, and it wraps around your thumb like this, so that this part right here, this part that's sticking out, is gonna serve as like this nail sticking out, but it's just this angle instead of down here. So what you do is you pretty much do the same thing. For me, I like to use the peace sign, but with the peace sign, I'm gonna have to do a little bit of adjusting so that the angle that it hits it is this angle right here. So usually I do it from this angle, so it's a little bit more pronounced. This one I don't have to do it as. It has less control than your thumbnail, but it'll do. So if I think we were talking about this yesterday. If you're like a basketball player, or if you're if you like to play sports and stuff like that, and you don't want to have long nails, by all means, thumb picks are pretty much the way to go. So yeah. So it's still possible to get all those tremolo notes by using a thumb pick, and you would do the same exact thing. So instead of this right here with the thumbnail, so people can see it. There. You just do it with this angle. So, to answer your question, you don't, and how long is too long, that's also up to you, because, it just depends on your style and your playing ability and your familiarity with using the thumbnail. If you're new to it, I would say the longer, the easier, to kind of use it, because it's away from the skin, so, you can pretty much isolate the nail and use that as a tremolo. As it gets closer, you're gonna hit more, more flesh, so it takes a little bit more control to only hit the to only hit the nail. But the advantages of a shorter nail to do that would be because the nail is shorter. It's the density is coming more from your whole thumb and the flesh part than it is going with just the nail. So you get a more rounder, more fat tone, as people would say. So if you were to look at like Jake Shimabukuro's thumb, he uses a thumb, he uses thumb for tremolos, but it's not long like at all. It's just like really, 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 really tiny. But he knows like how to use it. We don't have that Jake button anymore.
His control is
it's
amazing.
Insane.
But I mean,
insane.
if you practice that way, the better you'll be. I don't know. I guess you would. I would recommend if you really want to do tremolos, you probably should grow your thumbnail at least a little. So
start out with just growing it a little bit, and then just try it, and then just let it grow out. Let it grow out, and just kind of keep trying it and see where it is good for you, because it is different for everybody, and I can't just be like, this is the absolute optimum, like optimum length for fingernail. Like, there's no way that I can say that, because I don't know how
millimeters.
I don't know how big your hands are. I don't know what kind of kind of ukulele you're using, what kind of strings. These all matter, like in the end, because if your thumbnail is too long and your strings are like too thin, you might put too much into the tremolo, and you could break strings. I've broken strings before, like doing that on stage too. I think we were like it wasn't on a tremolo. Was it on a tremolo? No, it wasn't on a tremolo. It was on something else. But I was like hitting my strings with my nails It was Island Bazaar. It was Island Bazaar.
Yeah,
and I broke a string. We played Europa, and I broke my A string of all strings, my A. And I'm like, oh yeah, whatever. Like a pro, finished it.
Finished the song.
finished the song.
On
no
the E.
A string.
Yeah.
And Europa's not forgiving. It's not a very forgiving song. So I just had to think on my feet. But
do you purposefully shape your nail in a certain way?
Yes, great question. I purposely shape my nail so that the angle that it does hit the strings. So here, so if I'm holding my thumb, close to my ukulele, the side that is closer to the ukulele is angled a little bit more than the side that is closer to, I guess, the other.
So
side.
you cut off a little more,
or I just kind of
shape it.
I shape it so it looks like this.
You have to pull closer to yourself, I think, for the focus.
Oh, yeah, there it is. So see, like how this part is a lot more, I guess, straight.
There's
there's
more nail on one side than the other.
There's a dip, and why that is because it's like a natural movement. Because I want there to be a little bit of density in my in the strokes that I'm doing. So I'm going from flesh to nail, then to out. And in order to get that, it's going from here. And since by the time it reaches the nail, it's got this like kind of contoured shape that it just will slide off the string. Like so.
So kind of ease the transition between your flesh and your nail.
The nail. Yes, because if it's this long, and if it's just kind of straight, then you're gonna hear like from flesh to nail and then out, like it's not gonna be like because it's gonna catch on the side. So because I have the side kind of smoothed out, it's not gonna catch the side of my nail, and it's just gonna have one smooth transition from flesh to nail.
Do you use like a file for that?
I do, yeah. There's these files, nail files that I found at Long's Drugs, or CVS, as I guess for the people in the mainland, because there's no more Longs in the mainland.
Is it a metal file or what?
No,
what is it
it's like a six file. Oh no, I'm using the wrong case when I have it in my case. Actually, I might have it. Try look in the blue box.
Okay,
I might have it in there. Maybe.
It's
like around here.
Like an emery board or like a...
Yeah, but it's fat. It's like this fat. Is that in there? Never mind. It's okay. So thought I left one in here. Anyway, it's like this kind of long, this long file, and each side has like a different use. So one side is for shaping. Another side is for
it has like
file.
It's like if it was sandpaper, it would be like different grits. Of sandpaper.
Because the thing is, when you just file it, especially if it's like that emery board, kind of thing, like almost like a skateboard, like a skateboard, it's gonna be rough. And when when you pick on your string, you're gonna hear like the roughness at the end. When you file your nail, all those like kind of little mini cracks that's in there, you're gonna hear it. So you need to kind of like really smooth it out. So right now, like my nail, because I've used that that nail file, if I were to just kind of move it across my strings, it's not that noisy.
Yeah.
So it's there, but that's only because it's going like in and out.
Yeah,
really fast. But if it wasn't filed correctly, you'd hear more noise.
So you try to get it pretty smooth.
Yeah, because I don't like any extra noises.
Francis had like a pretty good question relating to that. So
sure.
He asked, does using a thumb pick limit chunking?
Let's see. I never thought about that.
Because it is on the side here.
Kind of moves it.
It moves it a little bit more down here. So it was with this side of your, if I hold up my hand like this, see? That's why you gotta subscribe to UU Plus. So if I were to hold my hand like this, and this is the part where I would normally chunk, I'll just kind of move it down here, so it doesn't hit. So here it is in action. So it's just down here instead, and you kind of get a cool little pop too when you do it.
Cause like the pick is kind of hitting the soundboard, so Yeah.
But it's still here. It's still not this.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I normally wouldn't. I mean, when you're using a thumb pick, it means you have like intentions to like
finger pick and
yeah. So, but I mean, I have played this and I've played like body surfing and stuff like that, but I don't really do too much chunking on body surfing. It's straight up strumming. I don't know. I got about to kind of think about it, but for the most part, you just adjust with anything really that you do. Those techniques are still achievable, but you'd have to adjust.
It's like just like a deeper angle, right?
Like deeper into your thumb. Mm-hmm. Any other questions?
There's another question from the forum.
Sure.
And this is from Fifth Monkey. They asked,
Fifth Monkey.
Aldrine and other players I've seen all say to use your pinky as an anchor when picking, so as to maintain your position.
Yeah.
But I feel much more comfortable picking with my pinky in the air and no anchor. I'm faster and smoother that way, and I don't notice any trouble holding my position. But I'm intermediate at best. Is this pinky thing a habit I need to develop to keep progressing?
You know what? Like, it's really tough because ukulele players that I know, at least from Hawaii, like will tell you that like you kind of need your your pinky there just to to make sure everything's all balanced. Because when you go from like a it's intense like strumming thing and then going to that, you're gonna need something to kind of brace yourself with, to do the finger picking. But when you go out and ask guys like for example like James Hill, I don't think he uses his pinky finger to anchor, and I think he just he just finger picks. So I'm not about to tell James Hill like that you're doing it wrong. Like, I don't think anyone's gonna tell James Hill what to do. So it is up to you, and it depends on your style. I know you're intermediate, like you said, intermediate at best, but you're not necessarily developing a bad habit. So if that's what's comfortable to you, I'd say
I think that. I think even when classical guitar players, when they train, they're told like when you get like a classical guitar teacher, they tell you like don't do that.
The pinky thing?
Yeah, that's a bad habit for that playing. And I know that there's finger picking like guitarists or finger style guitarists who classical guitarists kind of go like, oh, look at that guy, he's holding his pinky down. That's like a bad habit.
Bad form.
But he's like one of the best finger style guitarists in the world. So it was like, who's to say it, like who? And then, I was gonna say too, right? Like Calais too, I think, right? You said it's a little different, but like with the tremolo thing, he doesn't he doesn't like put his finger down or something. He can do like free, or is it free tremolo or like?
No, it was Imura, right?
Chris.
Or
Chris.
Oh,
yeah,
Chris
like
Salvador.
This,
yeah.
He doesn't anchor. Because I know Calais anchors with his pointer finger. Does this. So Chris does that. I don't know how, and it looks so funky. Like when he does it, it looks like a helicopter, like this. Like how the heck? I mean, whatever, it works. He's like, I'm not about to tell Chris what to do either. Yeah. And it's one of those things that like it is up to you in your own comfort zone. If you feel comfortable without using your pinky, it's not wrong. It's not a wrong thing. We only tell people to do that so that it kind of braces the ukulele and it holds the ukulele in place. But if you're able to do that without planting your pinky there, I'm not gonna tell you to stop. Yeah, I'm gonna leave it at that. Like it's not bad. Like what Kahai was saying, guitar players get scolded for doing that. So
the classical guitar world is like pretty rigorous, and then like, when they go out and they see other guitar players, they all like oh, look at that bad habit, they shouldn't be doing that. Look at that finger position.
I'm gonna take a shot in the dark. It's probably because you should have your if it's a classical guitar or whatever, if it's flamenco and whatnot, you should have your guitar like placed correctly, and you should have good posture and all that stuff that if you were to go from this like crazy strumming thing to like finger picking, it shouldn't move anywhere. But with the ukulele, since it's so tiny, Like we don't necessarily always rest it on our on our thighs. Sometimes we're up here. So imagine if you're kind of strumming and then you go straight into it. There's a quick second, of you being a little bit unbalanced. So that's why the pinky is there to kind of hold everything together, and then doing that. But that might just be me. But I'm gonna take a shot in the dark and say that might have a lot to do with like you already should be in a good position where you don't need to rest your pinky. So that's why people think, oh, don't do that. Why would you need to do that? Like also you're a terrible guitar player. I don't know.
I think there's like a theory that you're deadeaning the soundboard.
Okay. Yeah.
So
yeah.
So it's for sound purposes, but I don't know. I don't know if I can really. I don't know. Do I? It's one of those things that you don't really think about.
I don't think I do it in guitar either.
Yeah.
Like I don't.
Well, because like so much of your arm is connected to the guitar already.
And
I don't know. I think I do. I think I do put
use
down,
your pinky.
Because I don't use all.
You're passing the guitar. Let me see.
I'm interested now. You don't really think about it.
Yeah, I don't. Okay. We're gonna find out right now. I'm gonna turn to Guitar Underground for just a second. Okay. No.
Yeah, no. Yeah, it's enough of your forearm is really.
It depends if I go up here or down here.
Yeah.
But I guess as an ukulele player, like I can't break that habit.
Yeah.
Like if you're playing
the lower strings,
then you can't necessarily anchor with your pinky anyways. So.
Yeah.
Interesting.
You guitar. Yeah, it is. I never thought about it, but my answer is, it's not a bad thing. It's not a bad habit. I wouldn't quit doing that, or I wouldn't start training myself to to go the other direction. I think I would just pursue that. If you're comfortable with it, go keep it up.
So I'm not an advanced player, and I'm like, you should just figure out what works for you. But I don't think even with ukulele, I don't think I do the pinky thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do. I do like the T. I keep it up.
Pinky up. Always pinky up like this. Because you're a classy dude. That's why, Kahai. You're so classy.
That is the reason why, and it's not because I just learned by a teacher.
You are your own teacher. All right. Do we have another question?
Yeah. Francis asks if there are any tips on like when you strum up with your thumb, and also like the up strum when you're doing the tremolo, like that, just the up motion with your thumb.
What do you mean?
I guess it's
the tremolo.
Yeah, because you're doing down and then you're also doing an up, right?
Okay, so with the tremolo, because it is so essential to have your nail, you're technically doing taking your thumb, and it's like directly at the pointed at the hole, at your sound hole. So because it's that's the angle that you're using your thumb or pointer finger or ring finger or whatever you're using for your tremolo. That means when you grow out your nail, it should be long enough that you're hitting your string on the downstroke, and when you hit your string on the upstroke, it's still hitting the nail down and up. So the tone is consistent. But as far as up goes, if you just take that that form of like using your peace sign and doing that, and just doing your wrist or twisting your wrist this way, down up, I'm not like really moving my thumb at all. It's hitting the same. I'm gonna take my pointer finger here so you can see it. Slow. So if you were to just imagine this, like if it was like a like a pick, I'm just imagining my thumb as a pick, not as a thumb pick, but as just a regular flat pick. So I'm just imagine this is just a flat pick. You're basically just doing this.
Yeah. So it's not really any of the muscles in your thumb at all that are moving, right?
You're just holding your thumb in place. Yeah. And then it's the wrist that does down up down up down up.
Yeah.
I guess when I quit doing that, then if I do that, if I'm doing that, I'm still doing the same thing. It's like it's still
trying to kind of keep your thumb straight.
Like this, straight. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. And then he's also asking about the strum. So when you're strumming up with your thumb.
So when I'm strumming up with my thumb, it's still same form, down, pointing down to the ground, pointing up, to yourself. Because when you point up to yourself, if you have the correct wrist twist, your thumb should be up here. So if you're just kind of looking at what your thumb is doing, I'm gonna take my pointer finger. I want to like pretend like I'm pointing to myself. So this would be me pointing to myself, right? But then without it. So if my thumb's up here, and then me pointing down to the ground, see where my thumb went? From here down to here. And then same thing going up and then down. But it's more like a loose hand. We talked about the loose hand. So going down and up. But if you do the wrist and all your form is correct, you should kind of see your thumb doing this up and down right here. So all you have to do is take your pointer and your thumb together, as if you were to kind of hand somebody a business card, and down with the pointer finger, up with the thumb. Or you can take out your pointer finger in general and just do thumb.
Yeah, so exact same form.
Yeah, exact same form, just using your thumb instead of your pointer finger. But I'm not doing anything new, anything different, same exact form. That's why we made such big emphasis on Ukulele 100 on your form and how you're moving and the timing wise. And then just like down with the down strum and up with the up strum.
Well, the one of the problems that we got the most was how do I chunk? And the reason why people have a hard time, usually they have a hard time chunking, is because they don't necessarily have a good strumming.
Yeah, and I'm not gonna call anybody out, but there's a lot of ukulele teachers out there that will tell you it's this, and then use your open palm to stop the thing. But if you're using your open palm to stop the strings, that takes you out of your form, because your form should be fluid. It should it should be consistent. So if you have a consistent form like this, and then using that that thumb to kind of do the chunk, you can do the chunk and keep a consistent strum at the same time. You don't have to disrupt your strum by changing up your form. So I don't know. Yeah, but people want to teach whatever they want, and it works. If it works for them, that's totally fine. I'm not hating on anybody. I'm just saying that this is why we do. We do what we do, or we teach how we taught it, is because we want you guys to have a consistent strum, to have you guys have something that makes sense. The form will make sense, and everything will follow along. The rolls, the chunks, and finger picking, it will all come together if you have good form.
Yeah. And it makes it easier even in a song, right? Within one song to transition from one thing to the other. When you see people who do an open palm chunk, it does make pause, and then they gotta before they get back to strumming. So it's you just want everything to kind of flow into one another.
Right, and there's been many people that have helped out on the Thursday one-on-one coaching to as if I tell them or if they're asking how do I do the chunk, I just can't chunk, I can't do this, I'm not able to do it. Most of the time it's because they have it in their heads that they're using this part of their palm or this part of their palm or wherever this thing. See, your ukulele shouldn't even make contact with this unless you're you're doing all kinds of golpe or whatever it is. It shouldn't. Palm muting is this part too. On this side of your palm. Never, on the I don't even know why I would do this, to my ukulele, unless I'm doing an abrupt ending maybe. And even that is, did you see how weird that was? To just kind of go, do this position, and then all of a sudden stop my ukulele. It just looks, it looks weird, it feels a little bit weird, and I feel like I'm inconsistent with it. I have to get off the the smooth train and go to rough ride.
I think part of being a good player too, it's hard. Good is objective, right? Or subjective. Right. But part of being a good player is just efficiency, how efficient you are with your motions. So that's kind of what we try to teach here, right?
Yeah, and and a lot of people will teach it. So here's another thing too. A lot of people teach it that way, but they actually do the thumb way. But they just think like they are hitting it from here. But like when they really kind of slow it down and think about it, it's actually this.
And it's easier to explain to beginners, right? Like, oh, you just put your palm.
You just put your palm over it and stuff, just everything's all nice and pretty.
But if you do it fast enough, that's not where it's.
So I'm not gonna like mention names or call anyone out, because that's, if it works for them, then it works for them, but that's how, why we teach it here that way. So if anybody was interested.
I think I was gonna say, like, going back to the up strum and the up pick.
Yeah.
I think one thing to think about too when doing that is that, like, you kind of, when you're doing a tremolo or when you're doing a fast strum or something, you do have to put a little bit of, like, you kind of have to work on the up strum a little bit more than the down strum, like, because the down strum is just the weight of your hand going down. And that'll usually take care of it. Even with like tremolos, it's like it will be just the weight of your fingers going down. But then with the up pick or the up strum, you have to like kind of work against gravity to bring it back up. So it's just like something you gotta add a little bit extra emphasis on it. Maybe.
Yeah, and like you watch any, like, even just like Hawaiian players and stuff that like do a lot of like the crazy kind of strums, So if you're doing all those crazy. Is still you're using that, because if you use open palm, you're gonna get out of that like really crazy strumming position that they have in order to kind of stop the strings, and it's just not, it doesn't really work unless it's part of the gimmick, like unless doing this and then stop like is part of the I don't know if it's even part of a style or anything. I don't know. There's a confusion going on, like where people think that that's it. It's actually not.
I think it is a lot of what you said, where people are teaching it one way, but when they actually perform, they're using different styles. So it's like,
it's one thing, and it's not okay. It's not any one person. Let's just say that it's not any one person teaching it that way. We have seen loads of people teaching it that way, and that's why we feel like we gotta let people know that, like, maybe work on your form. Don't focus, like if you work on your form first.
Yeah.
We got.
Use a high-speed camera. Show what's actually going on.
That's why we get like a lot of people who said like, oh, I learned from free videos on YouTube and I learned it a different way, and it's like, oh, like that's kind of have to take you a step back and get you to strumming before trying to do the trumpet.
I'm gonna shoot from the hip right now, and I will call someone out. I got we got a comment, like on the recent video for that Phil Collins video. We were like, oh, this thing sounds a little bit off and stuff, and I know why it sounds off. But we talked about last week with the bass and stuff. Like the bass will keep hitting this F note and whatever. So there's somebody that came and corrected, like, oh, why that song sounds off tune. And they're saying it's because, when we switch, I did this open A minor 7 chord, and that's why it sounds off. And in my mind, I'm like, okay, well, based on that logic, if A minor doesn't work because it's not in the, it's not in the right key, then every single song that we play that isn't in C or G or F, like if we played, every time we played Drop Baby Drop, it would sound off tune then, in that, like, based on that, based on that comment or based on that logic. So A, like this, should sound off tune to everyone. It's only because I got called out, so I'm like, hey, I'm gonna disprove this right now because I got called out. So thanks for playing, but that's not why it's off tune. It's a play on the ear by Phil Collins playing that F bass.
I think everybody who's saying it, they're saying it because they're like, oh, it sounds wrong, but they don't know the original song. That's why they're saying it. Like,
so that's why I'm not griping on the people who are saying like it sounds weird, because for some people it might. Some people are not used to hearing that chord voicing. So it does sound off for some people.
I think, and even the first time we heard it, we were like, this is weird.
Right, exactly. So I'm not used to hearing that. So that's not part of my palette. And then someone comes in and like, oh, it's here's why Mr. Guerrero is wrong. It's like, whoa.
That's
okay. Put the keyboard down. Put the keyboard down, and let me show you why you're wrong. And move along. Yeah, thanks for playing. Thanks for playing, but no, that's no. Strike. Family Feud.
All right. Yoda asked, you seem to strum over the bottom of the fretboard, but pick over the sound hole. Is there a reason why?
Yes, there is a reason. Because I mostly strum over here because we talk about like how that's kind of halfway. You know, like right here is 12 should be like halfway, but this because I can kind of keep strumming and I can go deep. And it's not going to go any deeper than this. But if I strummed here, I could, like hurt my finger here. But it's not going to go any deeper. And it's kind of like the perfect, place to strum. You can go as hard and as soft as you want. And you're going to get those good dynamics. But for picking, I tend to do it over the sound hole because I want a big kind of fat sound. If I were to do it the higher and the closer to the headstock that I'm going to do, it's gonna sound thinner. See? So the higher that I go up here, the thinner the sound goes. The closer to the sound hole, the fatter the tone goes. And if I go any further than that, then it gets thinner also. So this is kind of where you want to be picking. It's a good fat tone. If you want, not Joey Fat Tone. Sorry, just went in my brain randomly. If you the further up you go, like I said, the thinner. So for me, it's you get the best tone right here.
Yeah, and it's also part of form too, right? So when you're strumming, you have your forearm on your lower bout of the ukulele, and that's kind of where your finger lands, right?
Yeah.
And then when you're picking, you're putting your hand, the rest of your hand, right in that curve, the bottom curve of your ukulele. So that's where your thumb lands. So,
yeah, good observation. I would agree with that.
Well, that's in Ukulele 100. We told people to pick up the ukulele by pinching where the neck meets, and that's kind of in general where you should be strumming. That sweet spot.
Yeah.
And
so there are certain sweet spots like strumming and picking.
You wouldn't strum over the sound hole, or you could, but the dangers of doing that is the same thing where you might put your finger into the sound hole and just kind of I don't know, mess up your finger or something. So there's I with bass playing, the thing that I learned was if you want to do slap kind of funk bass, it's you do it lower and then over. You can actually do it over the pickups, and it kind of does get that snap back, nice. But then if you want to make it sound like stand up bass, you play over the neck.
Ah, interesting.
And then it kind of does it shortens it up. It's not as snappy, but then it kind of does have that muffled tone of
Is it because the stand-up bass is kind of playing up here?
And so it's
so desune.
Yeah, I learned that trick from a video, and then I was like, is this really true? And I grabbed my bass, and I was like, it totally is.
Oh, look at my upright bass. Did you go like this? Did it? That's what I would have done.
I do play a little bit. It looks a little funny, but it does kind of work. So.
Yeah. Yeah, because I did kind of a upright bass sounding effect on Stand By Me in the play along for Stand By Me. I played bass for that, and I had to put filters. I had to do this EQ thing with I don't know, all kinds of effects that I was putting on there to make it sound like that. But I didn't think of just kind of playing up here on the on the neck.
It's not gonna fool a actual bass player, somebody who plays stand up or whatever.
Right.
But it gets the job done.
But I think I would have put less filters on it, I would have done less stuff with it.
It gets that a nice tone.
Yeah. Because I've noticed what's the main difference I think is the decay. I know we're talking about bass now and stuff, but this is still music related. So the decay is after you hit the note, like does it completely disappear? Does it kind of keep going? That's like for me the main difference between like a regular electric bass and a stand-up bass. Whereas an electric bass, because it's like it's kind of this straight shaped and it's like really like well picked up. Like the pickup is really good. It'll have good sustain. Whereas like a stand-up bass will have this kind of good attack, and it'll like it'll decay sooner than a regular bass would. But the tone is like it's got a more not muffled but a deader tone, I guess. Yeah.
And like if you think about it, a stand-up bass too, they use bows with it, right? Also too, so that like if they do need sustain, they can just use the bow to sustain that note. Yeah. Whereas like if you watch like a jazz stand-up bass player, like they do walking bass lines. Because like if they just play that one note, it's just gonna it's not gonna last. So it's like might as well like play more notes and then until I get to the next bass.
Let's bring this back to ukulele. You know who my favorite stand-up bass player is for an ukulele group?
Who?
Hands down, Jake Smithies from Dead Man's Uke. That guy is so good. So if you guys have never heard of Dead Man's Uke, it's like a father and son duo. It's Tim Smithies and Jake Smithies. So Tim, the reason why they call him Dead Man's Uke is because Tim plays Tiny Tim's guitar ukulele, like
the one that he died playing.
He died playing.
Yeah.
So Tim owns that uke and he plays, and his son Jake is like a stand-up bass master. He's just so good, and he's like always dapper dressed, and he's like doing these like rockabilly like things with the with the stand-up bass, and he's really good. He slaps, he spins it. He does a slap bass. He does like that kind of that bluegrass bounce, like whatever you need him to do, like he's got it. It's awesome. So if you've never checked out that duo before, check them out. They were also featured on Uke magazine or UKE magazine from the UK. If you guys want to check that, the same magazine features yours truly, and also Andrew Molina. And I think next month they have Time on a Garden. So they're really
nice.
Yeah, I know. And I mean, I don't like call out Ukulele magazine, but like Uke magazine has been featuring some some cool uke players lately. Like they had like I said, Andrew Molina, Time on a Garden. They're like featuring these it's killers.
Standouts.
Yeah, standouts like Dead Man's Uke. I think James Hill's on there. Like we're talking big names. So it's really, really, really cool. Ukulele magazine, of course, they put Jake on there, and I think they had Ledward Kopp on it and stuff. But so it's people that are out there doing it, like Taimane. She puts on a show. She's so good. Her show is so good. So good. Andrew Molina, I've been jamming them a lot lately, and kid's got chops. And I think he's being more popular in the UK, and I think that's why he was featured, huh?
And even Andrew's dad, right? Andrew's dad is a
bass
player.
He's a
he's
badass bass player.
It's fun when you can find like good uke players, but then you're like, oh man, that bass player is pretty bomb.
Well, bass players don't get recognition really.
No, that's true.
They get the least recognition of all the people.
What are you talking about, Aaron? Have you ever heard of Flea? Come on.
Yeah, Flea. So
yeah.
Good. Check out Polyphonics.
How did he have to dress and look in order to get recognition?
And how did he have to act?
Yeah,
it's true. Yeah,
there's a reason why.
It's very interesting. If Flea didn't do any of that or didn't dress that way, if he just played it straight,
would he be recognized at all?
True. What do you think, Guy?
No, I was gonna make
it's a good discussion.
That's just who he is. You can't take that away from him. That's just Flea.
Yeah, like Peanut from 311, like to me like stands out because like the way he looks and the way he plays the bass, and he like kind of dances like these big moves with like his knees up, kind of jumping. But he's really good bass player, Peanut from 311.
Well, like even if usually like bass players will get recognized if they're also the lead singer too, right?
Oh yeah, like Sting.
But they'll get recognized more for their singing.
That's true. Yeah, because I think. It wasn't until way after that I realized that Sting was his own bass player. I thought he was just like the singer,
Yeah, and that's pretty common.
Or Paul McCartney, Paul McCartney. You're like, oh yeah, he did play bass. Like,
I forgot.
I forgot.
And he plays bass really well.
Yeah, so good.
And people you don't hear people say like, "Oh, have you heard of Paul McCartney's bass lines?" You only hear that from like bass players.
Yeah, you only hear that from like real musicians.
From like,
yeah, so good. Like, check out like what is that, something like that has a great bass line in there that I just drool over, and anything by the Beatles, especially in that era, like so good. Paul McCartney, amazing bass player, and they're playing songs that would have a very boring bass line. You know what I mean? Like,
what was that song that we did a whiteboard for? It's but it's from the Music Man, right?
Oh, Till There Was You.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like that song is like, it doesn't really need a good bass line, but
yeah.
you listen to it, it's like, oh, this is pretty
well,
jamming.
Paul McCartney was a guitar player. Like, you know, when they first started playing, he played guitar, and I think because he was like moved over to bass, he's like, you know, I'm gonna make this fun. Like, I'm not gonna play just regular 1/5 bass lines. He's gonna rock out, and that's why they're good, and that's why we're schmucks. But okay, well, it is. One more.
Before we go, we have like one last question.
Okay, sure.
G asks, how do you know what note to tremolo on? Is it usually the root of the chord or a harmony?
Oh, okay. So the note that you would normally tremolo on is, I would normally not tremolo a chord. Okay, so if we're talking about chord melodies, I wouldn't tremolo that. I would tremolo a melody line. So if the melody line calls for a tremolo, that's when you add a tremolo. Tremolos shouldn't be added just to, you know, just cause. Tremolos are kind of not a flash, but is a technique that kind of adds to the picking. So it's strictly for picking purposes. So you wouldn't be like, okay, well, you know, I'm playing this chord and the and the root note of that chord is this, so I would like kind of do that as the, you know, as a tremolo. You can tremolo anything. So even if you have like, you know, so you can tremolo like whatever it is that needs to be tremoloed, as long as the melody line asks for it. Yes.
Oh, like the tremolo is like kind of like a show stealer too, though,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
So it's not like you would really use it outside of solos
or
improvising.
And that's why, like, technique wise, it kind of incapacitates the rest of your fingers. See, in order to make the tremolo consistent and supported, because, you know, it's kind of like a wild horse. Unless you're Chris Salvador, you're gonna have to tame that wild horse, you know, by like planting your fingers down. So because you plant your fingers down, that kind of disables you from doing full chords anyway.
I said that was the last question,
yeah.
So we actually have one like
sure.
Early. I'd like to partake in Aldrine's one-on-one coaching, but I'm not sure how best to make use of the time. Do you make some suggestions, or maybe just speak a little bit about what to expect?
My best suggestion would be to just to attend one, to just go. You don't necessarily have to participate, or you don't have to like ask questions or anything like that, but just watch what people do, and then you can kind of gauge what's appropriate for you and however you want to spend your time. We will ask you, you know, if you have any questions, or is there something that you're working on and stuff. But if you feel, and a lot of people do this, you know, and if you feel like you don't feel comfortable to kind of be live in the one-on-one coaching, or to ask questions, or to show, you know, what you're working on and stuff, you can always just kind of kick back and just watch everyone else. And then when you feel like, okay, I do have a question that I want him answered, or I do want him to critique this, and I do want feedback on this one thing that I'm doing, that's when you kind of let us know that, hey, I want to have a turn, you know, for one-on-one coaching.
Yeah, and I think usually like you guys will be like, okay, who's next? Or
yeah,
if you have a question, raise your hand. Like, you know.
Yeah, just to get a good feel, because I think that's what it is. I think people are scared that like if they attend that, then they have to ask questions, they have to do this. You can just watch, and a lot of people like honestly just do, like they just, you know, like go there and they get some good information. And you know, I know a lot of people that kind of go and show up and stuff, and they kind of try it out themselves. You know, I see a bunch of them doing that. If I'm teaching somebody like how to do the chunk, or teaching someone like, oh, it's, you know, you do this, you hold the chord this way, I see pretty much all of them, if not all of them, kind of like, it is kind of how you do it, you know. So you learn a thing or two, even if you're not actively, you know, asking your own questions.
Yeah. So for UU Plus members, Thursday one-on-one coaching is kind of like a conference call.
Yeah.
So you get to see everybody else who's in the room, But we also have private lessons now.
Yeah,
so you want to make the distinction between one-on-one coaching and private lessons.
Yeah, the one-on-one coaching is a conference call, and it's anyone can kind of watch while somebody's getting critiqued or whatever. And if you don't feel comfortable with doing that, if you want to just do one-on-one like private, so these are like private lessons basically. It'll work like that. And we have 15 minutes bursts of private lessons every Mondays and Fridays here at Ukulele on the Ground Plus at no additional charge. You can book your private lesson over in UU Plus, and in that 15 minutes you have me pretty much to yourself. You let us know beforehand what you want to work on, so that like once your 15 minutes starts, we're not wasting any time. And it's like, okay, so you told me, or you put down that you want to work on this, so I show me what you got so far. And then you show me what you got. I'm like, okay, cool. Here's some suggestions that I can make. Here, try this out, or you're holding the chord like this, or you're doing the technique this way. And then here's maybe a new way to hold that chord, or is a better way to do that technique. And that's when we kind of fine tune into what you're doing. We can do it on Thursdays as well, but Thursdays is more of a general thing, whereas private lessons is more geared towards you.
Well, Thursday too is like. It's everybody can see you, or you're participating in a group kind of conversation.
Yeah. So if you're not comfortable with that, then private lessons together.
Well, like you can still go to one-on-one coaching and just like hang out and
and learn stuff.
Yeah. Or just hang out with people, say hi. You don't need to be there, but if there is like something that is like, I don't seem to get this, then private lessons might be the way to go. Yeah. I think and we just did private lessons, right? And like it went really well, but like the thing to make sure is like you have your Skype or your FaceTime, right? Like, set up. Yeah. And it's like, here's my whatever, like my Skype account. So, and if you're not online, then I can call all day. Like it won't show up. There was like one person who just like it was their first time using
FaceTime, that's true. Yeah.
So just maybe try and use it
beforehand just to make sure everything's okay. Yeah. All right. So any last minute questions to make sure we got everybody taken care of? I don't want to do a false end again.
No, I think that's good.
Okay. Cool. So that about does it for our show here. If you want to download this as a podcast, make sure you check out iTunes or anywhere that you get your favorite podcast downloaded. So let's see. If you are part of UU Plus, thank you so much for signing up for UU Plus, and I hope you guys enjoyed this lesson, watching this lesson. We are live every 1 p.m. Hawaii Standard Time on Thursdays for this. Stick around for the thing that we mentioned, one-on-one coaching, and also stick around for Sounds Made Easy. Sounds Made Easy is going on at 2:15 p.m. and we have 3 p.m. We have one-on-one coaching from there. Okay, so Thursdays, Fridays. So tomorrow we have a little Friday Live Jam, and immediately after that we have the private lessons again. And if you guys want more information on that, go check out Ukulele on the Ground Plus, where you can sign up. Okay, so have a great one, and I'll see you for Sounds Made Easy. Aloha.